American bison. The bison is the largest terrestrial animal in North America, where it is commonly called buffalo. Biologists prefer the term bison, which is based on the animal's Latin name, as it distinguishes it from the Cape buffalo of Africa and the water buffalo of Asia. The bison is characterized by a hump over the front shoulders, short, sharply pointed horns curving outward and up from the sides of the massive head, and slimmer hindquarters. A mature bull of the North American bison is about 2 meters high at the hump and 2.7 to 3.7 meters long and weighs 850 to 1100 kilograms. The female is smaller. The head, neck, forelegs, and front parts of the body have a thick coat of long, dark hair. The rear part of the body is covered with much shorter hair. The adult bull usually has a black beard about 30 centimeters long. Bison are usually found in groups, except for old, solitary bulls. Most of the year females with young form small bands, and immature bulls may stay with them. Mature males have their own groups. The bands may congregate in large herds in the spring or fall to search for food or water. Bison grunts and snorts are audible at short distances. The roar of rutting bulls, audible at nearly 5 kilograms, is heard most often in mating season, mainly July to September, when bulls go looking for cows and try to ward off rivals. Breeding bulls have little time to eat and lose more than 90 kilograms during mating season. Gestation is 8 to 9 months, and a single yellow-red calf is born. After a few days, the calf can keep up with the herd and follows its mother until the following spring. The bison originated in Eurasia and is one of the few members of its family to have crossed the Bering Strait land bridge in prehistoric times to North America, where two subspecies, the plains bison and the wood bison, survive. The European bison, or wisent, taller but lighter than the American bison, is almost extinct. A few exist in parks and zoos. Until the 19th century, as many as 60 million bison lived on the Great Plains from Mexico into Canada, and some were found east of the Mississippi River. They were central to the existence of the Plains peoples, who used them for food, hides, and bone implements. Even the dried dung, called buffalo chips, was used as fuel. From 1830 to 1889, methodical destruction by encroaching white settlers, for sport and for hides, reduced this number to less than 1,000. Today, well over 200,000 bison live in protected areas and on private ranches. Caribou. Caribou, North American deer of the same species as the reindeer of Eurasia. Caribou range in height from 87 to 140 centimeters at the shoulder and weigh from 60 to 318 kilograms. Both males and females have antlers, but the females are smaller and simpler. Two principal groups exist: the barren ground, or Arctic, caribou, and the woodland caribou. Barren ground caribou are native to the tundra regions of northern Canada, Greenland, and Alaska. Historically, the Inuit living in Arctic regions have depended on these animals for survival, using every part of the body for food, implements, or clothing. The caribou usually live in small herds of cows and calves and a few bulls. Most of the older bulls stay in separate small bands, except during rut, and travel on the fringes of migrating herds. Breeding takes place in September and October, and the calves are born in May and June. These caribou have a gray or light brown summer coat and a white winter coat. In winter they gather in large herds and migrate south to warmer Canadian forests, sometimes traveling 5,000 kilograms, then return north in springtime. The staple diet of caribou is lichens, but they also eat grasses, shrubs, tree shoots, and mushrooms. Plans for oil and gas pipeline construction in Alaska and Canada were altered, through environmentalist efforts, so as not to interfere with caribou migration. Of less economic significance are the woodland caribou, which are darker and stockier and have heavier antlers than barren ground caribou. At one time they were common from Maine to Montana, but they have since been exterminated in most parts of the United States. Scimitar horned oryx. Oryx is the common name for 3 species of horned antelopes that live in Africa and the Middle East, of which the best known is the gemsbok. The white, or Arabian, oryx and the scimitar oryx are both listed as endangered species. The animal can weigh more than 200 kilograms, stands as high as 1.4 meters at the shoulder, and has horns of nearly equivalent length. In recorded history, the only antelope to become extinct is the South African blue buck, which disappeared around 1800. Since then, however, most species of antelopes have suffered a fall in numbers, and some have come perilously close to disappearing. Foremost among the threatened species are the addax, scimitar horned oryx, and Arabian oryx, all of which are hunted for their horns. These three species live in dry places and deserts devoid of large vegetation, where hunters and motor vehicles find them easy to chase. After several decades of motorized hunting, only a few hundred of the addax and the Arabian oryx remain in the wild. The Red List of Threatened Species compiled by the World Conservation Union, a non-governmental organization that collects global information on endangered species, now lists the scimitar horned oryx as extinct in the wild. Small populations now survive only in protected parks and in some Z005. In recent decades, conservation programs have had some positive impact with species that have been overhunted. Captive breeding programs for the Arabian oryx, which began in the 1960s in zoos in the United States and Europe, have produced more than 2,000 animals. The species has been reintroduced into the wild in protected areas of Oman, and its future looks reasonably secure. Similar conservation programs involving zoos around the world exist for the addax and scimitar horned oryx. Baird's tapir. Tapir is the common name for an ungulate mammal with a bulky body, short legs, a short tail, and a head characterized by a short, flexible proboscis, small eyes, and erect ears. The animals live in dense forests and grassy areas of Central and South America and Asia. When tapirs are threatened, they flee to the water or into dense underbrush for safety. Their squeal seems to be a means of communication with other members of the family group in the thick foliage of the rainforest. They feed on leaves, fruit, and other vegetation. The tapir is so like the ancestral remains of an animal from the Pliocene epoch that the two are classified in the same genus. The only enemies of tapirs, in addition to humans, are members of the cat family. Habitat loss, due to clear-cutting and hunting, have brought the two species found in the northern Andes in Panama to the edge of extinction. Galapagos giant tortoise. Tortoise is the common name for members of a family of turtles that live entirely on land. Tortoises are slow-moving animals known for their long lifespans, which in some instances may exceed 150 years. There are 41 species of tortoises. Tortoises inhabit all of the world's landmasses except for Australia and Antarctica. The greatest numbers of tortoises are found in the tropical regions of Africa, South America, and Asia. Most tortoises live in dry environments, such as deserts and savannas, although some species prefer moist habitats, such as rainforests and woodlands. Tortoises range in size from the Madagascan spider tortoise, which at maturity is about 10 centimeters long, to the Aldabra giant tortoise, which can grow to about 1.4 meters long and weigh up to 254 kilograms. Tortoises are protected by heavy shells composed of an inner, bony layer and an outer layer made of horny plates. Among most tortoises, the shell has a dome-like shape. This shape makes it difficult for predators to fit their jaws around the shell and crush it. In some species, the shell has flexible hinges that the tortoise uses to close off the openings through which it withdraws its head, limbs, and tail. Tortoises have strong, thick legs that can carry the weight of their heavy shells. A tortoise walks slowly when it moves at all. It may remain motionless for hours and then move at a speed of only 0.2 kilometers per hour. Some tortoises, such as the gopher tortoise found in the southern United States and northern Mexico, have flattened forelimbs that help them to dig underground burrows. The skin on a tortoise's head, tail, and limbs is covered with horny scales, which help prevent the inner body tissues from drying out. Most tortoises are herbivores, or plant eaters. Like all turdies, tortoises have toothless jaws that are covered by horny ridges. Tortoises use their jaws to bite off sections of plants. Some species have a diet that includes a mixture of vegetation, small animals such as insects and worms, and the carcasses of larger animals. Their inability to move quickly prevents tortoises from chasing after prey. Mating among tortoises commonly begins with courtship behavior by a male, who circles a female while bobbing his head. In some instances, the male may bite the female's shell and legs. The male next mounts the female to mate her. Some giant tortoises bellow loudly during this process. Female tortoises lay their eggs in underground nests. Depending on the species, the time required for incubation may be about 2 months or more than a year. In some species, such as the Burmese brown tortoise, the female tortoises remain near their nests for several days to defend their eggs against predators. Once hatched, however, young tortoises fend for themselves without help from their parents. Many tortoise species are endangered because of human activities. Humans use the meat and eggs of tortoises for food and destroy or alter tortoises' natural environments. The giant tortoises of the Galapagos Islands are among the world's most threatened tortoises. Huge numbers of these tortoises were killed by the crews of whaling ships during the early 19th century. Today, these giant tortoises are threatened by many of the animals that humans have introduced to the Galapagos Islands. These animals include pigs that eat tortoise eggs, rats that eat hatchlings, and goats that eat vegetation that tortoises rely on for food. The Galapagos giant tortoises are now legally protected under the laws of Ecuador. Markhor. Markhor, the largest wild goat, is a member of the goat antelope subfamily. The markhor is native to mountainous regions of Pakistan, Afghanistan, and northern India. Markhor are noted for the massive, spirally twisted horns that grow on the adult males. Their horns have been known to reach 160 centimeters in length. Females also have spiral horns, but they are shorter, reaching a length of 25 centimeters. Males stand between 91 to 104 centimeters at the shoulder, and their average weight is about 90 kilograms. Females are significantly smaller. Their height at the shoulder is between 65 to 70 centimeters, and their average weight is about 40 kilograms. The markhor has a long, silky coat, which is pale reddish-brown in summer and rusty iron-gray in winter. Males become paler and grayer with age. Males inhabiting the northern regions of the markhor's range develop long flowing manes and long beards, which reach almost to their knees. Like other goats, markhor are herd animals. Early in the year, they frequent valleys and sheltered canyons, but in summer they move to higher ground, especially to the rocky crags at the timberline. Males live together in bands of 4 or 5 individuals most of the year, but they join the females in the late fall. Like most horned animals, the males fight for possession of the females. The breeding season is in November or December, and 6 months later each pregnant female gives birth to a single kid, although occasionally twins are born. There are several distinct varieties of markhor. At times scientists have identified each as a separate species. Currently scientists group the varieties into 2 subspecies, a northern subspecies with broad, twisted horns, and a southern subspecies with narrow, twisted horns. Sportsmen once regarded the markhor as an excellent game animal. However, increased competition from domestic livestock, loss of habitat to human populations, and excessive hunting have seriously depleted markhor populations. The species is classified as vulnerable by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, and the southern subspecies has been placed on the endangered list. Fennec fox. Fennec is the common name for a small canid of the deserts of northern Africa. The fennec's body is about 35.7 to 40.7 centimeters long, the bushy tail is about 17.8 to 30.5 centimeters long. The fennec is pale brown to almost white and closely resembles its relative, the fox, except for the erect ears, each of which is as large as the face. The fennec can dig with great speed, and when pursued it seems almost to dive into the sand. Its burrow is lined with a collection of soft material, such as bits of fur and feathers. The fennec usually sleeps during the day, coming out at night to seek its prey. It feeds mainly on mice, small birds, lizards, and insects and sometimes supplements this diet with fruit. The fennec sometimes drinks at waterholes, although studies suggest that it need not do so. The ability of fennecs to go without water for indefinite periods of time is an adaptation to their desert habitat. Komodo dragon. Monitor, or goannas, is the common name for a genus of lizards that includes the largest living lizard, the Komodo dragon. Monitors live in tropical and desert areas throughout Africa, in Asia from Arabia through southern China and Malaysia, and in the East Indies and Australia. There are about 30 species in the genus, ranging from 20 centimeters to more than 3 meters long. They are characterized by a long, forked, snake-like tongue, and are able to engulf and swallow large prey whole. They are sleek, fast runners with tapered heads, long necks, strong legs, and long, powerful tails. Monitors feed on insects, birds, reptiles and their eggs, small mammals, and carrion. Monitors are among the oldest living lizards. They are related to the mosasaur, a marine lizard that lived from 136 million to 65 million years ago and ranged up to 10 meters long. The largest monitor is the 165 kilogram Komodo dragon. It lives on several islands, including Komodo, in Indonesia. This lizard is a fierce predator and scavenger. Its mouth carries a virulent bacteria, and its bite alone can be fatal. Although monitors are mainly terrestrial, some species also climb trees and are good swimmers. The large water monitor of East India can swim far from land. Two species, the Komodo dragon and the Gray's monitor, are listed on the World Conservation Union Red List of threatened species. Giant sable antelope. Antelope is the common name applied to a diverse group of hollow-horned mammals that belong to the same family as cattle, goats, and sheep. About 100 species of antelopes live in Africa and Asia, including some of the world's fastest and most elegant hoofed mammals, as well as some of the most endangered. 7 species known as horse antelopes include the sable antelope, roan antelope, oryx, and addax, large-bodied animals that have a horse-like build. They live in Africa and the Arabian Peninsula in a variety of habitats from woodlands to deserts. Despite their collective name, these antelopes are impossible to confuse with real horses because they have exceptionally long horns. Trophy hunters prize horse antelope horns, a fact that has brought some of these animals to the verge of extinction. Unlike deer, which have branched antlers that they shed annually, antelopes have pointed horns that they keep throughout life. Antelope horns can grow up to 1.5 meters long. They look formidable, but their value as weapons is limited. There are records of antelopes impaling and even killing predators as large as lions, but when faced with danger, antelopes are far more likely to run away. Antelopes are ruminants, animals that regurgitate partially digested food, called cud, and chew it again. Like other ruminants, including cattle and sheep, antelopes have well-developed cheek teeth or molars, which grind cud into a pulp. They have no upper incisors, and in order to tear off grass stems or leaves, their lower incisors press against an upper hard gum pad when they bite. Whether they are eating or resting, antelopes rely on their keen senses to avoid danger. Their eyes face sideways, and their pupils are elongated horizontally, giving them a good view of danger from behind as well as in front. Their hearing and sense of smell are also acute, valuable features for life in the open, where many predators are on the prowl after dark. To survive, antelopes rely on their ability to spot danger and to make a rapid escape. This defense system enables them to evade most wildlife predators, but it offers only partial protection from human hunters interested in antelope hide, horn, or meat, and no protection at all from changes to their habitat. Gray wolf. The gray wolf is the largest member of the wild dog family, one of only 2 species of wolves known in the world. The only other wolf species is the red wolf of the southeastern United States. Gray wolves that live in the treeless plains of the Arctic are called Arctic wolves, and those found in wooded, subarctic regions are known as timber wolves or eastern timber wolves. Scientists recognize only one subspecies of the gray wolf, which is commonly called the Mexican gray wolf. The gray wall has become a symbol of endangered animals. Gray wolves were once the most widespread of all large mammals other than humans, with a range that extended over much of the northern hemisphere. Today, gray wolves remain numerous in northern Europe, Asia, Alaska, and Canada. However, in Central and Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and the United States, their range has been reduced to pockets of wilderness. Gray wolves are powerful animals with dog-like faces, large, bushy tails, and long legs ending in large feet. The fur of most gray wolves is smoky gray, but it may have a brownish or reddish tinge. Gray wolves commonly have white chests and abdomens, and black patches on their backs and sides. Some gray wolf populations are pure black or pure white. An adult gray wolf measures up to 2 meters in length, including the tall, and weighs up to 80 kilograms. They have a shoulder height of 0.5 to 1 meters. Females are smaller than males, and southern gray wolves are smaller than northern ones. Gray wolves form packs of up to 24 members to hunt large herbivores, such as deer, caribou, and moose. Pack members cooperate to drive and ambush prey during hunts that begin in early evening and continue until morning. When hunting alone, individual wolves may feed on mice, rabbits, beaver, and domesticated animals. Gray wolf packs are social groups that adhere to a strict hierarchy, in which some members are dominant and others are subordinate. When 2 members of a pack greet each other, the dominant one stands erect, while the subordinate one crouches. One social activity of wolf packs is knowing. This vocalization promotes unity within the pack and signals the pack's presence to other wolves. Gray wolves usually mate for life. Within each pask, only the dominant male and female, called the alpha pair, reproduce. Gray wolves mate in late winter, and after a gestation of 1 to 63 days, the female gives birth to a litter of 4 to 7 pups. Both of the parents, as well as other adults in the pack, regurgitate food for the pups. Pups are raised in dens, such as underground burrows, rock crevices, hollow logs, and overturned stumps. Although wolves rarely interfere with humans, humans have a long history of intentionally destroying gray wolf populations. Some wilderness areas have provided havens for wolves, but habitat destruction has caused these areas to dwindle. In 1873, the gray wolf was placed on the United States endangered species list. This action provided protection for these wolves within the 48 contiguous United States. It also raised public awareness about the value of these animals. In 1987, the United States Fish and Wildlife Service initiated a plan to restore wolves to Yellowstone Park and parts of central Idaho. To overcome opposition to the plan, environmentalists and federal agencies agreed to compensate ranchers for any livestock that might be killed by wolves. These reintroduction efforts have been highly successful, and wolf biologists expect that the status of the gray wolf will soon change from endangered to threatened in all lower 48 states. Advocates for gray wolves have since turned their attention to the Mexican gray wolf, which has been absent for nearly 50 years from its historic territory in the southwestern United States. In early 1998, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service outlined a plan for reintroducing Mexican gray wolves to the Apache National Forest of Arizona. Koala. The koala is a tree-dwelling marsupial with a specialized diet consisting almost exclusively of the leaves of eucalyptus trees. Koalas are native to Australia, where they are sometimes called koala bears or native bears, although koalas are not related to bears. Bears are placental mammals. Their young develop fully inside the mother's body, nourished by a spongy organ called the placenta. As marsupial mammals, koala young are born while still in an undeveloped state. Newborn koalas complete their development inside a pouch on the mother's abdomen. Few wild animals rival the koala bear in popularity and recognition. Its teddy bear appearance inspires human affection and intense concern for its survival, as more and more eucalyptus forests are cleared to make room for farmland, housing, and industry. Koalas resemble a miniature bear, with a large head above a stocky body, a tiny tail, and long muscular limbs. They have a round face with forward-facing eyes, a blunt, prominent nose, and 2 round ears on top of the head. Koalas range in size from 69 to 79 centimeters in length, and from 5 to 12 kilograms in weight. Males are generally larger than females, and koalas in the south tend to be larger than their counterparts in the north. Thick, woolly fur covers the koala's body. For most koalas, white fur covers the throat and chest and fringes their rounded ears, but elsewhere on the body fur color and length vary depending on where they live. Koalas living in the cooler climates of the south have long fur that is gray-brown or cinnamon in color. Those found in tropical northern ranges have shorter fur that is light silvery gray in color. Koala paws are well adapted for gripping and climbing trees. The koala's 2 forepaws end in 5 digits, each with stout, curved claws used for climbing. The first 2 digits are opposite the other 3, as if the koala has 2 thumbs and 3 fingers. This paw structure enables the koala to grasp tree branches. Each of the koala's 2 hind paws also has 5 digits. A broad, clawless first digit is opposite the other 4 digits. The second and third digits are fused into a single, double-clawed toe that is used like a comb to groom fur. Mature male koalas have a brown scent gland in the center of the chest. This gland produces a smelly substance that leaves the surrounding fur wet and dark. Males rub this gland on tree trunks and branches, and the scent left behind may play a role in communication among koalas. Characteristic of marsupials, female koalas have a pouch on the belly where a developing baby, known as a joey, lives for the first 7 months after it is born. The pouch opens at the top, although the weight of a growing joey forces the pouch opening downward. The eyes of koalas face forward on the head, enabling the animal to focus both eyes on a single object. This ability, known as binocular vision, allows koalas to accurately judge distances, an important skill for an animal that leaps between tree branches. Koalas appear to have a good sense of smell. They sniff leaves before selecting one to eat, suggesting that they can smell a difference among individual leaves. They also sniff the gland secretions left by males at the base of trees and on branches. Both wild and captive female koalas may live 13 to 20 years, while males generally have a maximum lifespan of about 12 years. In the wild, however, most koalas die younger due to predation, disease, or accidents with motor vehicles. Przewalski's wild horse. Przewalski's horse, a subspecies of the domestic horse, is comparatively small and stocky, with a large head and a long tail. In the late 19th century, the range of the Przewalski's horse consisted of the steppes and deserts of Mongolia, Kazakhstan, and parts of China. Subsequent loss of habitat and hunting of the Przewalski's horse by human beings caused such a drastic decline in the population that the Przewalski's horse disappeared from the wild. It now exists only in captivity. Przewalski's wild horse, which is believed to be the only truly wild horse to survive to modern times, probably became extinct in the wild in Mongolia in the 1960s. About 1,100 Przewalski's wild horses survive today in captivity in zoos and wildlife parks. Wolverine. Wolverine, carnivorous mammal, native to the northern regions of North America, Europe, and Asia, whose habits are much like those of the badger. French Canadians call this animal the carcajou, and Anglo-Canadians call it the quickhatch. In Europe it is called the glutton. The wolverine's body is heavy-set, the legs are short and thick, and the claws are long and curved. The head and tail are carried low, and the back forms a high arch. The snout is short and pointed, and the head is blunt and rounded, the eyes are set widely apart, and the ears project only a short distance above the head fur. The tail is short and extremely bushy, the individual hairs being up to 20 centimeters in length. The thick body fur is composed of long glossy hairs. It is dark brown except for a lighter stripe running the entire length of each side. The length of the body, excluding the tail, is 65 to 105 centimeters. The wolverine is found in forests and open plains, ranging north to the Arctic Circle and south to the northern border of the United States. It also occurs in the Sierra Nevada mountains of California. It is nocturnal and does not hibernate. In spite of its seemingly clumsy movements, the wolverine can move swiftly. The animal usually travels alone except during breeding season. The young are born from January through April, usually 2 to 4 to a litter. Wolverines will eat bird eggs, berries, and any animal they can kill and, lacking live prey, will eat carrion. They are adept at robbing the traps that hunters set for other animals. Although once abundant, the wolverine is now rare due to overhunting, both for its fur and because it is viewed as a pest by some people. Javan rhinoceros. The Javan rhinoceros lives in dense tropical forests on the island of Java in southern Indonesia and in some parts of Vietnam. It is heavily hunted for its single horn, which is used in traditional medicines, and fewer than 60 animals are left in the wild. The Javan rhino is listed as critically endangered on the Red List of Threatened Species, produced by the World Conservation Union, a non-governmental organization that compiles global information on endangered species. The Indian and Javan rhinos are similar to each other in many ways, the most conspicuous being that they are both single-horned. The Indian rhino's horn reaches a length of up to 50 centimeters, but the Javan's horn is only half this size, and in females is often absent altogether. Both species have gray-brown skin thrown into thick folds, a feature particularly prominent in male Indian rhinos, which develop extra folds around their necks as they age. Unlike the Sumatran rhino, both these species are practically hairless, except for a fringe around their ears and a tassel of hair on their tails. Indian rhinos are the biggest Asian species, standing up to 1.8 meters at the shoulder. Mature males weigh up to 2,200 kilograms, which makes them Asia's second heaviest land animal, after the Asian elephant. The Javan rhinoceros has a maximum weight of about 2,000 kilograms, and unusually, the females are bigger than the males. Both these animals need surroundings with plenty of water, but the Indian rhino is the only one that spends much of its time in open grassland, instead of remaining concealed in thick forest. Spanish lynx. Lynx is the common name for three members of a genus of wild carnivores characterized by disproportionately long legs and large, heavy paws. Lynx are found throughout the temperate and subarctic regions of the northern hemisphere. They are stout-bodied animals, 65 to 130 centimeters in length, with thick, soft fur and short, stubby tails. Most species have a tuft of hair, more than 2 centimeters long, at the tip of each ear. Lynx are agile climbers, spending some of their time in good weather on the limbs of trees, waiting for the weaker mammals and terrestrial birds that constitute their prey to pass beneath them. It is also common for lynx to stalk their prey. In inclement weather and when breeding, lynx take shelter in caves or in hollow trees or logs. 2 to 4 kittens make up the average litter. Lynx are valued for their fur. Generally, 4 species of lynx are recognized: the Spanish lynx, which is listed as an endangered species; the bobcat, also known as the wildcat, which is widespread throughout the United States except for the Midwestern Corn Belt; the Eurasian, or northern, lynx; and the Canada lynx. The Canada lynx is found from the northern United States throughout Canada and Alaska. It is the largest species in North America, averaging 90 centimeters in head and body length, with a tail length of 5 to 14 centimeters. The back is dark gray streaked with chestnut, and the belly is grayish-white, often with black spots. The species feeds chiefly on snowshoe hares, deer, and other ungulates. In 1998, the United States Fish and Wildlife Service designated the Canada lynx as a protected species throughout the forests of the lower 48 states. African wild dog. The African wild dog is a small, wild, carnivorous dog found in Africa south and east of the Sahara. It is also known as the African hunting dog or Cape hunting dog. The black-skinned, long-legged dog weighs up to 23 kilograms and is covered with short, sparse fur in a wide range of black, yellow, and white patterns. The large ears are rounded, and each paw has only 4 toes. The animal lives and travels in packs numbering from a few to more than 50 individuals. They are known to range up to 3,900 square kilograms in their search for food. The dogs exhibit complex social patterns. Unlike most social species, males make up the majority of a group. 1 male and 1 female usually do all the breeding within the group. Both parents care for the young, who learn much about hunting and game trail patterns from the older dogs in the pack. A large pack can bring down large animals, such as lions. After a gestation period of 79 to 80 days, 6 to 16 young are born. Spectacled bear. Spectacled bear is the common name for a South American bear with distinctive facial coloring. Spectacled bears are mostly black or brown, mottled with white or cream, sometimes shading to orange, around the chest, neck, and eye areas, often with a ring encircling part of each eye. Relatives of the spectacled bear once occupied much of North America, but the species is now the only member of its genus still existing. Its present range extends from Bolivia to Colombia, where it is restricted to high, steep, rugged areas unsuitable for agriculture. Spectacled bears are small. The males weigh up to 154 kilograms, and the females about 62 kilograms. Each foot has 5 relatively short, sharp, and powerful claws for climbing and tearing apart trees. The bears feed mostly on wild fruits, especially figs, and on leaves, small animals, insects, and succulent herbs and grasses. They often stay in the tops of trees for extended periods, and they build a nest each night for sleeping. They are rather vocal, trilling as they travel, and the young hum when relaxed. Spectacled bears are not a significant threat to humans, but they can do serious damage to agricultural crops. Killing for meat or to reduce crop damage takes a serious toll on spectacled bear populations. Because of human pressures, their ranges are rapidly shrinking in all countries they occupy. Only in Bolivia is their status somewhat secure. Crested gibbon. Gibbon is the common name for any of the small anthropoid apes found in the subequatorial forests of India, Indochina, and the Malay archipelago. The gibbon is a slender animal with a small, round head and soft, woolly fur. Its most notable characteristic is its long arms, by which it swings from tree to tree with great agility, using its hands as hooks rather than grasping the limbs. A large gibbon stands 75 to 90 centimeters high. The arm span is nearly twice as long. The gibbon is the only anthropoid ape to walk on its hind limbs only, usually raising its arms for balance. Gibbons are monogamous. The young, born singly, remain with the family group until they are 5 or 6 years old. The animals eat leaves, fruit, flower parts, insects, spiders, birds, and birds' eggs. They are usually quiet during the day but commonly howl at sunrise and in late afternoon. About 9 species of gibbons exist. The silvery gibbon, or wow-wow, of Java is ashy gray. The white-handed gibbon, or lar, of the Malay Peninsula is distinguished by its white hands and feet and its musical howl. The largest gibbon is the siamang of Malaysia and Sumatra. In 1979, the Grant Park Zoo in Atlanta, Georgia, reported a 4-year-old female siamang, the hybrid offspring of a male silvery gibbon and a female siamang. This was the first known mating involving different primate species. Populations of wild gibbons have been severely reduced due to hunting and deforestation. Orangutan. The orangutan is the great ape of Southeast Asia. Its name means man of the jungle in Malay, an Austronesian language. Orangutans live only on the island of Borneo and in the northern corner of the island of Sumatra. The orangutan spends most of its time in trees, using its long arms and hook-shaped hands and feet for grasping branches and vines. It seldom ventures to the ground, but when it does, it walks on all fours. Traveling through the treetops is difficult, so an orangutan only travels a few hundred meters each day. Each evening it builds a new treetop nest, often by bending down fronds of a beetle tree. Older males, however, may travel and sleep on the ground. Orangutans are characterized by coarse, long, reddish-brown fur. Male orangutans average about 95 centimeters in length and about 77 kilograms in weight. Females are smaller, reaching about 78 centimeters in height and weighing only about 37 kilograms. The male has puffy cheeks and a hanging throat pouch. This pouch contains air sacs that help produce a groaning, bubbling call, which can be heard at least 1 kilogram away. Half of the orangutan's diet consists of fruit, but these animals also eat young leaves, soft inner bark, termites, eggs, and occasionally monkeys. Orangutans accumulate fat in winter to prepare for the monsoon season in April through October, when food is scarce. Orangutans are solitary creatures. Except when mating, adults usually travel and forage for food independently. When a female is ready to mate, she will seek out an adult male. The pair will stay together for several days until the female is pregnant, then they will resume their solitary ways. The gestational period for orangutans is just under 9 months, nearly the same as in human beings. Females give birth to a single infant about once every 4 to 8 years. Infants stay very close to their mothers for the first 3 years until they are weaned. They spend the next 3 to 5 years becoming increasingly independent of their mother, gaining complete independence at about 8 years of age. Occasionally, an adult female with a youngster will pair up with another adult female and her young for up to 3 days, during which time the youngsters play together. Although it is illegal to kill, own, or export orangutans, poaching continues. Also, the orangutan habitat is rapidly diminishing as a result of large-scale logging and burning of forests. The massive forest fires on Sumatra and Borneo in 1997 and 1998 killed thousands of orangutans and destroyed the habitat of thousands more, endangering the survival of the species. Florida panther. The Florida panther, also known as a cougar or mountain lion, is a carnivore of North America with thick, reddish-brown fur. It is lighter on the sides, and the muzzle, chin, throat, breast, and insides of the legs are whitish. Its body can be up to 1.95 meters long, exclusive of its long tail. The head is relatively small, with a black spot above each eye. The female bears 2 to 4 young in a litter. The young have dark brown spots on the back, and the tail is ringed. The Everglades and cypress swamps of southern Florida provide one of the last refuges in the eastern United States for a number of wild animals. Among the most rarely seen there is the so-called Florida panther, the only cougar found east of the Mississippi today. It is classified as an endangered species and protected by state and federal law. The Florida panther is also receiving extraordinary public support in Florida, where it has barely hung on in the pine forests and oak hammocks in and around the Big Cypress Swamp. Protected by state law since 1958, the Florida panther was championed by a campaign of schoolchildren and named the official state animal in 1982.